Welcome to She Sells Radio. Can you tell now when I'm laughing at the beginning of an episode that the beautiful, the angel face, the handsome, the charming Jason Thomas Robustelli is joining me for an episode today? You really have to watch the videos. If you listen to the audio, you really have to watch the videos. He's
Why?
probably the most handsome man on the planet. I mean,
That's fine.
that's fine. When we do a photo shoot together, my photographer's like, well, Elise, I edited your pictures. Jason didn't actually need any editing.
It happens. It's okay.
It's frustrating. I love you. I'm totally embarrassing you right now.
I'm drinking coffee.
He jokingly called himself an angel face on a team call the other day.
No,
and
I was serious about that.
I lost
do,
it.
in fact, have an angel face.
I could not believe he called himself that. And so now I'm calling you angel face because I thought it was so ridiculous, but I love you.
Dr. Angel Face Stelly.
Dr. Angel Face. So with that for an intro, I mean, we can only go up from here, I hope. So we're talking today about how your vision is a double blessing, how your vision is a double blessing. And this is really, I don't know, I was inspired by so many things. I was thinking about some of the conversations I've been having with women and clients recently who were like really, really deciding to go for it at another level in their lives and their careers. Like they're done playing small, they're done they're done saying no to what they really want. And oftentimes when we make that decision, there can be a price tag associated with it, whether it's you feel called to invest in a coaching program, you feel called to up-level your team. There's this investment that's involved, and it can feel uncomfortable, and our brains will typically go to what we're giving up, right? So I'm going to release X amount of money to make this investment. And oftentimes too, when they talk to their partners, and I always encourage women, it's like, don't ask your partner, let your partner know what you're doing. That's a whole nother episode. We actually talked about that in another episode. But
I was fantastic.
You were phenomenal.
Yes.
You were award winning in that episode.
I should, I'm expecting a Grammy, actually. I might just get a Graham Cracker though.
You probably will. In our household.
I'm sorry, continuing.
I don't even remember what I was saying. What was I saying?
Don't ask, tell.
Don't ask, tell. Right.
Inform, not tell.
Yes. Okay. But and the point, the bigger point of this episode though, is you've got to switch your focus. And you actually, I think it's important to talk with your partner too about, if you have one, what are you gaining? Remembering that when you feel called to something greater, when you feel called to more abundance, more opportunity, more expansion in your life, it's not by accident. It's not by mistake. And it's not just going to benefit you. It's going to benefit everyone around you. Some people you'll never know that it benefited, but the people immediately around you, you'll know, and their lives will change. And so I wanted to bring Jason on the show today to talk about in our life, like when we really made that decision several years ago, that we were done playing small. We were living like a good life, but not a great life. And what that decision looked like, it did involve a price tag. It involved a very big price tag for me at the time, which was investing really heavily in coaching and changing up a lot of stuff and stepping into the unknown. And it felt radically uncomfortable. And it wasn't overnight that things started shifting, but it was pretty fast. It was in about 6 weeks, we started seeing really big changes in our lives, and looking at how our life has changed since we made that decision. And since Jason was supportive of my vision in that, it's like night and day, like so much has happened so fast. And it hasn't all been easy. Like we've had to grow along with it. Right. So I'm not saying it's like cakewalk every step of the way, but
it absolutely is. She's lying. It's so much fun. Just go spend a lot of money and all of a sudden things will change.
That is not the theme of today's episode.
Don't take that away.
No, but what I'm saying is like when you look at our lives now versus even like a year and a half ago, like it's very different. We're totally different, living people. A very different life. And so I wanted to bring you on today because I think a lot of our listeners, at least if you've been listening for any amount of time, you know about a lot of what's changed in my life, but I wanted Jason to share from your perspective, like how have you benefited? How has your life changed? And what do you see different for us as a family as a result of us like saying, yeah, we're going for it?
I'll never tell.
Well, that's the end of the episode.
There you go.
This was great. Okay. Yep. Okay. So we're going to talk about how your life has shifted since we decided to up level. And full transparency, we just tried to record this part without having any notes, and it was disastrous is a strong word.
I'm a soothsayer who likes to talk about soothing.
So we have 3 key bullet points of how Jason's life has changed. So babe, the first one, and I think this is really powerful because a lot of the women who I work with, their men are doing amazing things in their careers. And so it's not necessarily that like they want to stop working, but the option of how and when they work is very appealing, I think, for a lot of for a lot of the couples that I work with. And so in our life, you were able to leave your job and pursue studying for medical school full time. So maybe you can speak to that for a minute of like what that process has been like and how that's been a blessing.
Yes, those pursuits. Those pursuits initially, I thought were going to be straight up not too bad. As I transitioned out of my work, I had to shift how my vision of myself and my life was going to become, because my worth was unfortunately tied up in, I'm a respiratory therapist, I'm saving lives. And then I shifted into full-time dad, student, and preparing for medical school, which is an undertaking, especially, midlife as parents.
It's crazy that we're midlife, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're midlife.
We are. No, you're right. We are. Sure. It's crazy.
Whatever.
Keep going.
So, growing as a person actually is a requirement for all this stuff, because my child has challenged me in many ways. And I had to be very aware of myself, how I was talking, how I was acting around him. So he had a good example of how to act as a little man. And then as a student, I had to develop really good habits around studying. And as a husband, I had to change a lot too, because what she needed from me was me living my vision. It took me a second to really understand that. I actually got a coach for a couple of months, and I was working in Joe Dispenza's work very significantly. We went to an event, and that really was life-changing for me. And then my vision became much clearer. I really wanted to go to medical school. I had to embody becoming a pre-medical student.
Right. And so from that, because that was kind of the second core benefit that we put. So it's like, number one, you had the option to quit your job, which a lot of people really desire, right? They feel kind of shackled to their job. And so you actually had the option to quit your job, to study full time, to go to med school. And like we said at the beginning, not every moment of it has been like super easy because we've had to grow as people. But when we look at it to say, for the past like year and a half now, you haven't had to work. And we're going to do another episode on how for us, we've decided that Jason working actually is important in our relationship. So we'll do another episode on that. So. Like we learned, right? But we haven't had to, like you haven't had to for the past year and a half. And so in that time, being able to study and pursue your passion. And now we're right there with med school applications. We're so excited to be able to move into our next chapter as a family, and for me to really be able to support you in you pursuing your vision with that. And along the way, like have the time to work with a really high level personal coach yourself, really dive into, we did a week-long Joe Dispenza retreat we've traveled so much as a family and had so many incredible experiences as a family. But the way I've seen you grow and who you've become over the past year and a half, couple years has been amazing. Truly, I mean that, because
gee, thanks.
Well, I do mean it. It's true. And you've worked on yourself a lot, but we've had the financial means to do it. We've had the time freedom to do it. And I think it's really helped both of us prepare for that next chapter of where we're going. So, okay. And so we covered, I think, the first two. So you were able to leave your job, pursue your passion, and study for medical school. You have been able to grow as a person and invest in high level coaching. We've been able to do things like go to Joe Dispenza's week-long retreat and do these, like a ton of other travel experiences. You came with me out to Sedona last year for our event. And that was the flight story is funny. We'll tell that another time.
I was solo dadding on a
You
plane for
solo
6 hours.
dadded on a plane. So that part was really special. But you also, we were able to do that. And that was really nice. And you've been there really like helping to support my vision all along the way, but have been able to have some really cool experiences too. And I think that's the third thing that we really were reflecting on for us is just the time and location freedom that's been created by saying yes to the vision. And whether it's, investing in the RV for us as a family, and that's something I never in a million years thought I'd be excited about. But we just suddenly were like, we really want an RV. And we really like had this vision and this desire of us traveling in a family, being able to pick up and go. And we've had just really fun experiences doing that, whether it's going to the mountains. We went to Hilton Head a couple times and had this awesome spot like overlooking the water. And it's so fun to see Jack get to have those experiences.
Yeah, that child has traveled around the country.
He's traveled
so much.
everywhere. And I think that's like, if you have kids, you going for your vision, it's a double blessing for your kids. I mean, it really is. And I think about the women we've got a woman in our community who just paid for her whole family to travel first class to Mexico. And it was like a surprise for her kids. I don't think they had flown first class before, but it was such a cool experience for her to be able to gift that to them. And they had the best time. And now she's actually covering travel for a larger extended group of family to come with her in December to her big birthday trip in Bermuda. And it's like the things that happen when you say yes to the vision and you say yes to what you want, so many other people are impacted. And I think the final piece that I would say with that in our life is with experiencing life differently. Like you're about to go into medical school. So we know that you're going to be away more and spending a lot of time on that. But the past year and a half, you've been able to spend a lot of time with Jack. And
it's invaluable.
Yeah.
Being able to spend time with your child like that. Dad with son or dad with daughter, I don't think it matters a terrible amount, but young kids, they need both ends of the parent. They need mom, they need dad. And it's a very clear, if you're handed, I mean, this is no judgment on anybody, like please don't just
what are you about to say?
Well, if you're in a bad school system, for example, and they're picking up bad habits and you're not home to help them work through that, it's hard. It's hard what we're doing right now because our little man he's such a free, strong spirit.
Not shocking.
The leader Leo in him is the force is strong with that child, and we love him dearly, absolutely love him. And it's challenging, so I can't imagine doing this full-time student and everything, so it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's like time is the greatest currency, right? So to have that time, I think, and we'll kind of wrap it on this, like of all the desires that I hear from clients that they really want to achieve in their life, the number one that I hear again and again is like this time freedom. And freedom, it's time and money freedom to be able to do what you want, when you want, however you want it. And I think in a lot of ways, we've really been able to experience that for the first time, like at a whole nother level in our lives than we were before. So thank you, babe, for coming on. I love you.
Yeah.
You always bless the podcast.
Well, I have one
your
more
presence.
thing to say.
One more thing. Okay, and then we do need to wrap. I've got one thing to say too.
You only get to live today once.
Ooh.
And if you're repeating each day the same way and the same way, you're wasting that one chance you have to live that day.
That's powerful.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to take that advice too.
So I just want to thank you. That was actually really good. So I just want to encourage you, when you say yes to your vision, it is not just bless you, it will bless everyone around you. They will be inspired, they will be uplifted, they will be benefited. And that's part of trusting that desire in you for more. So I hope this spoke to you. If you have more questions for Jason Thomas Robustelli on the podcast, send me a DM. I'm at Elise Archer on all social. I like having him here. I think you like having him here too. And we'll bring you back for another episode, babe.
Oh man, bless you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of She Sells Radio.